Good evening, everyone. I hope you're well. I hope you've had a great weekend. This is Provocation number 4. Today, we're going to look at literary fiction, literary non-fiction, and genre. The only outcome is that you will be able to know and be able to explain the differences between genre and literary fiction. Some of the key terms, as you can see, high culture and low culture, highbrow, middlebrow, and lowbrow, I will explain. Why are we doing this? Well, it's in the exams. You really need to have a firm understanding of literary fiction and genre to be able to respond to the paper 1. And as you see in paper 2, AQA call their texts literary non-fiction. I would say, by the way, that the 19th century non-fiction is more literary than the contemporary one, but that's by and by. Okay. Just a quick definition of literary non-fiction. It is non-fiction that uses, it's focused on a specific attention to the craft of writing using literary techniques to talk about subjects that are not made up. Okay. Literary fiction versus genre fiction. First, we have to situate it in what we commonly call low culture and high culture. Now, low culture, as I'm sure you're probably aware, if you don't, you'll have an idea of this. It's things like soap operas, it's pop music, comics, reality TV, and pulp fiction, cheap fiction. High culture, on the other hand, is classical music, ballet, Shakespeare and the theatre, and some film can be considered low culture, but some film is now moved towards high culture, such as films by people like Tarkovsky and Ingmar Bergman now are considered high culture in a way. Okay, so highbrow, lowbrow, and middlebrow. It wasn't a term that was invented by Virginia Woolf, but she certainly popularized it. And it comes out of a Victorian pseudoscience, fake facts, that you could measure someone's head and come up with and measure their, somehow giving them a character. So as that cartoon says, a genuine husband might have a higher forehead and an unreliable husband might have a different shaped forehead. And it was rubbish and it's completely discredited. It's called phrenology. But at the time, they linked it to a certain degree to high and low culture. So intellectual, intelligent people had higher foreheads, allegedly, and they liked high culture. And the working class and maybe different races had a different shaped forehead, and therefore they liked low culture. Okay, that was their thinking. So that's why you have lowbrow, highbrow, and middlebrow. Now let's link this directly to literature now in English. These are what's called genre fiction. We know their genre. They're romance, horror, cowboys, westerns, and we know by the cover, and we know what to expect in the text. We know what we're going to get. If we have romance, there will be emotions. There will be probably the sort of romantic settings like firesides and nature, and these are called conventions, and you expect to see them in genre. And by the way, it is extremely popular. It's fiction that sells. All the most popular selling fiction is also genre fiction. Okay? Literary fiction doesn't sell. Now, literary fiction wins awards. It's studied at universities. It's privileged by literary critics that work for magazines and newspapers, but it doesn't sell as much. It's more difficult, more challenging. It's not based on conventions. It's based on character. Right. So here is an example of the two terms. There's some overlap, of course, and these are the texts that AQA have used either for the samples or for all the exam papers since they started in 2017. Now, only one text out of all those texts could you define as genre, and that's Ray Bradbury's A Sound of Thunder, which was a science fiction novel, or short story, actually. All the others are either, on the far left there, or my far left, literary fiction. I mean, Life of Pi won the Man Booker Prize. I mean, that was last year's text. They're either fully literary fiction, or they are what they used to term middlebrow, sort of in the middle, some of both. So by and large, AQA do not use genre fiction. They either use literary fiction or fiction that has elements of both. Okay? So my provocation today is read. Read as much as you can. Read multiple genres across fiction and non-fiction, because you will improve and you will become better educated and a better critical reader. See you next week.